Hello and welcome to the final stage of the game, Bruford. Right at the start here we have these enemies that explode their heads to deal damage. I prefer to deal with them with slide kicks, so that way they don't get the chance. Takes them all out at once, and that way you don't have to worry about any projectiles. And here's a rather easy mini-boss that gave me way too much trouble when I played this as a kid. You really just have to hop slightly in order to hit him even when he's up in the air. And hitting him on any part of his body will do, even though he's segmented. You don't have to target any particular areas. He does occasionally fire a small projectile, but we can cancel that with our Saber. And now it's time for a surprisingly lengthy free-falling section. It only ends, I believe, when we destroy all of these tiny heads. Until then, it just keeps going and going and going. And if these tiny heads seem familiar, there is a reason for that, which we will get to whenever they're finally gone. You may have noticed they can teleport, which does make them reasonably unpredictable, but they can still easily be destroyed no matter where they appear at, either with our kick or with our Saber. I do get hit once here because I lose patience and just start wailing on them. But really, it's better if you just use the kick. And this guy should probably look a little bit familiar. We fought him back in Tong City. This time he's actually easier, because instead of coming at us, he just bobs left and right and ignores the middle entirely. This works out for me though, because I really want to stockpile my lives here, just in case something goes wrong. Though even if we majorly, and I mean majorly, screw up at this point, there's no way we wouldn't at least make it to the ending. Next section, I like to think of this as a chance to refill, to rejuvenate. There are 3 sets of elevators, each with small turrets, and the small turrets all contain either a special attack up or a health up. And we could use either of these. The section might be more difficult if we couldn't destroy the turret's bullets, of course. But thankfully we can, so it's just about having quick fingers. And even though I treat this as a chance to recuperate, the game seems to disagree. The game seems to think this is rather difficult. Because at the end of this we will get more health pickups. And I suppose I was wrong, it is 4 sets of elevators. This section is rather slow and doesn't contribute all that much to the level design, but so is the free-falling section, really. This level probably would have been better if it was just a boss fight after boss fight, because the actual level design is not difficult in the slightest. There are some jumps down here at the end of the last elevator that I considered difficult when I first played this, but just getting it in my head that I needed to jump ahead of time, like this, that was plenty. And like I said, there are 2 rather big health pickups right here, which would give us a total of 4 health. Even if we did take a beating, that would probably fix it. Unless we fell down on those rotating platforms twice, which would be kind of terrible. That would be impressive if you managed to do that. And here's the last elevator, which I don't count as part of the others because, well, we're going up walls lined with teeth. It's rather odd. But now it's already over, and it's time for the much-promised final battle against Kurtz. I'm just gonna let you enjoy this one, alright? In case somehow it's not clear, the idea here is that as long as you stand up here, Kurtz can't really do anything. He will jump in futility to try and reach you, and then you can just whap him on the head with your Saber, which is what we're doing here. The only way Kurtz can actually reach you right here is if he jumps on one of these 2 platforms with items on them. And even though he did that at the very beginning of the fight, it's very unlikely he'll make his way back up here again. He usually does those longer jumps after he's on a platform. But we'll call that a fluke, and I'm reasonably sure you can do this most of the time without getting hit even once, as long as you keep him away from the platforms. It's always fun to cheese the artificial intelligence like this, to think about things the developers just didn't consider. This game has a lot of those. I don't think that makes it bad, because after all, developers are only human. But when a game's purpose is to present you with a challenge, and you look at the challenge like a logic puzzle, you can find a lot of neat stuff. It is true that this is by far the slowest way to defeat Kurtz, but it's also the way to do it without getting hit at all, in what is otherwise a really difficult boss fight. Kurtz is not a piece of... oh, he's gone. So now that we're done breaking the game, it's time to proceed forward. There is a tiny bit more platforming before we actually reach the last two bosses, which is what we were saving our special attacks for. This vertical corridor can actually get you into a bit of trouble because of how fast these rolly things come out of nowhere. You have no time to react. I would like to clarify, in case it's not clear, that I only don't mind cheesing games if their primary purpose is to provide a challenge. If their primary purpose is just to make it fun to hit things, then I'm gonna enjoy hitting things. Because, like, what do you have to gain from cheesing Dynasty Warriors, for example? Unless you're talking about the campaign mode in some of the licensed Dynasty Warriors... I'm getting off topic. This boss has 3 heads, and we can destroy the 2 difficult heads with 3 special attacks. Granted, the top head will still have 1 hit left. But 1 hit, that's no problem. And after those are done, we can just wail on the bottom head, while ducking right here. This is one of the reasons I wanted to save those special attacks, and the second reason is right down here. It's the evil Dr. Bruford, or what's left of him after he was mutated. Dr. Bruford's weak point is in his abdomen, and in order to strike his abdomen we have to hit his face, which lowers the shield. Using special attacks actually harms him regardless of whether the shield is active, so that's important to keep in mind. But it also lowers the shield when we use it, which means we can get some good extra hits in. Dr. Bruford didn't start out evil, by the way, he just kinda wanted to fix the world's pollution using radiation. And I'm not sure what exactly he was trying to do with it, but it didn't work, and it mutated everyone, including himself. And I guess that really sucks for him, but he's kind of an easy final boss, all things considered. But I do like that they integrated the platforming into the boss battle. Okay, well, we're out of special attacks, so now we have to actually jump up and hit his head. His hands are really the most dangerous thing about him, because we can destroy those little waves he shoots out. But he should only have a couple of hits left regardless.